Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger, and today we're going to make a tree fairy door, and we're going to do it in self-hardening clay. And this clay, when it dries very hard. It is very durable. It is not waterproof, however. And what I'm doing here is I'm shaping the trunk of the tree. Just putting pieces of clay down and shaping it to be the trunk of the tree. And this clay is definitely more economical than polymer clay, but polymer clay it can be finished and done soon after starting your sculpture. I'm going to take a little noodle of clay here and like this, and I'm going to start forming the branches of the tree. I'm working on a flat board, and the sculpture, until it dries, will stay on the flat board. And I'll smooth this out as I go. Now this clay stays moist and very pliable until it starts to get hard. And what you can do is you can either use a paintbrush and water to moisten it, or you can use a misting bottle like this and just give it a squirt. But I think if you're going to make a mistake with that, it would be to wet it too much. I wouldn't wet it too much. I would just give it just a light misting. This clay brand that I'm using here is called Marblex, and it is my brand of choice. You can take your thumb like this, kind of support it with your finger, and just draw it down it to smooth it, or to make the plane even. See how easy that is? What I like to do is take a little bit of clay like this and make the base come out a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll make the bottom flat so it can stand up on its own. Just taking my fingers and kind of running them down the side. Another good brand of self-hardening clay is Mexican clay, and but that clay is red. This clay, I think it comes in red also. going to thicken up this branch a little bit. I'm going to sharpen the branches a little bit. The clay, in comparison, I do compare it a lot to, when I'm doing a video like this, I compare it a lot to polymer clay, because polymer clay is so popular. And a lot of the videos I do are in polymer clay. But not everyone can get polymer clay, for one thing. And I think there's a lot of types of clay on the market that are not very good, and people say, oh my god, I tried that and it didn't work very well, I didn't like it. This clay is very easy to work with. I think you'll like it. Now what you can do is, I've got a board here. This is just a 2x4. A piece of a 2x4, a piece of wood. And if you hold it to the bottom of the tree like this and press it against it, let me move some things around here a little bit. You can press the bottom, or sculpt almost the tree base to the board like that, and then when the tree is dry and you go to stand it up, it'll stand up on its own. So I just bring it up to it and make sure that the bottom is nice and flat. And when I finish the tree, when I'm done with the tree, I'll check that again to make sure it's right, because moving it around might change that. But that's what it looks like now. You can smooth it out. I wanted to show you that. Something that has, a right angle on it. That's what you want, like a 2x4 or a box or something like that. Now what you can do is take a bit of clay here, and create like a roof. I'm just forming this to go over the top of the branches. Move that up for you to see that. Take a sculpting tool and just cut away some of this here. Now another thing you can do with this clay is you can cut it with wire. This is a piece of wire. I'm just going to cut this like that. So it's, you know, basically almost like a fairy house, but it's going to be one-sided. And then, let's see, let's turn it around. And we can slim it down also with the wire. Then I can take a sculpting tool and just smooth that down a little bit. One reason why I really like working with this clay is it is from the earth. And I really like that, having my hands, you know, working with the earth, basically. Being in touch with the earth like that, it's just, I think, a really good thing for me. It smells like the earth too. It smells like soil. Just filling up the gaps in here underneath the branches. Kind of evening out this a little bit. It's a little bumpy. Turn it back around. Bring it down here a little bit, and then I think what I'll do is just kind of clean up the inside edge. And then clean up the outside edge a little bit too. See, I'm just still cleaning up a little bit, trying to make it a little bit more even. It's starting to get maybe a little bit it's starting to get a little bit dry, so I'm just going to take a wet paintbrush. I'm kind of taking the brush on the side of the thing like that, so that just to get some of the excess water off. You know, just want to keep it a little bit more wet. Okay, now I'm going to take a sculpting tool. Got to decide how I want to do the door. I think I'm going to just kind of make an outline here. Like that in the clay, and then I'm going to take this tool here, which is a cutting tool, but it's great for scooping. And then I'll turn the board around so I can see what it looks like on the bottom there, because from my angle I can't see it very well. I'll take my thumb and just smooth that out a little bit. Now what I'll do is I'll take a wet paintbrush, and not too wet, just wet enough to do some smoothing in there. And take there's a little bit of a gouge in there, so I'm going to fill that in. And then to clean my brush, I'm going to show you this. Instead of just dipping it in the water, it won't take it off. You have to do something to get it to go. And so what I do is I stab it into the bottom of the cup. And that gets most of it off. Now in the video description down below the video, there'll be a tool and supply list, and I'll list the names of the clays there that I use. But if for some reason you can't get Marblex or Mexican clay, these are brand names, by the way. Marblex is one brand, Mexican clay is another brand. If you can't get one of those brands, you can also use pottery clay. The only thing with pottery clay is it doesn't get as hard as this clay does. So keep that in mind. It will be more fragile. Now, even though the door is upside down, I'm going to go ahead and start the markings for the door. I'm going to put in lines like this. And then I'll take, clean my brush again real quick. Let me do that. And I definitely do not want it really wet in this case. So I'm kind of cleaning it off, cleaning most of the water off. Pottery clay is not a brand. That's just the type of clay that they use to make pottery. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you need to take a break or something like that, you can give this a little squirt of water and cover it with plastic. And that will keep it moist until you come back. I'll turn this back around. And now I'm going to make a little doorknob. I'm just taking a tiny bit of clay, rolling a ball. And press it into place. But after I press it into place there, I want to make sure it stays there. So I'll take my paintbrush with a little bit of water on it and just drop it on it. Now I'm gonna, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in a window. Use the back end of this tool here. Okay, I'm going to take this tool here and put a round window in this little crook here. And I'm going to put one over here also, I think. make that a little bit deeper. Now in the in the video description, this will take a few days to dry, so I'm going to put some finishes that I do, different finishes, including bronze, a full bronze finish that you see me do frequently here on my videos. I'm going to put a playlist link to, I think it's 4 different videos. Just taking a little noodle of clay here. Just setting it in there. And just kind of carving it in. And that will be that'll be in the video description down below the video, where the tool and supply list is. And of course you can paint it. You'll be able to hand paint it if you want. This takes a little bit of patience, but it looks really cool when it's done. You can also take like the back end of a paintbrush to find the lights. Come back to that in a minute and do this other one here. I think I'm going to turn this way a little bit so I can see it better. You can see that this clay is definitely sculptable. I think a lot of clays out there, people get a hold of them and they, for whatever reason, don't use the recommended clays, and they get a hold of some clay that they think will be fine, and then they can't sculpt it. kind of clean that up a little bit. It does take some patience, but you know, like I say, it can look pretty nice when it's done. Clean the brush real good here. Get all the excess water off. Now, let's see. I want to do some smoothing. Now, you can also smooth with your finger. Get a little bit of water on your finger, but again, you know, just try to smear some of the water off so it doesn't get the sculpture really wet. It's really better if the sculpture is not soaking wet when you're trying to smooth. I don't want to get too close to those windows with my finger, so just kind of avoiding those. Now another tip is you can use a damp towel to clean your hands off. It works really well. Because if your hands get gunked up with clay, it can make it hard to work. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a tile roof. So you roll a ball of clay like this. You want to get the roof wet so the clay sticks to it really well. And roll a ball and flatten it out a little bit. If you find it splitting along the sides like this here, if you see it splitting like that, you can go ahead and wet it. I'm wetting it with the bottle. And then just knead it a little bit. And then take a little ball of clay and put it on the edge like this. Just flatten it out a little bit and put it on the edge. Get another one. That's my alarm. So you just go along and you know, you want the balls to be about the same size. And again, remember, if your hands are getting gunked up with clay, to wipe them off. So I'm going to do that right now. I want to keep the top fairly damp. Got a hair in there. There we go. Now I'm going to check the other side real quick and see how it's looking. There we go. This will look really nice with one of those finishes in my playlist. The bronze will look really nice, I think. Okay, now I want to show you the whole row because I also want to show you how to stagger them. So it's a roof, and roof tiles are staggered. So you start in between the two of the first two there, Again, want to make sure it's wet. And then lay it, start there, start in the middle of the two down here. And then go from there. You see it like that. Now I'm going to start smoothing. Just take my time and go around. Get this, get the bottom of this roof. Take a sculpting tool. There's a little hole right here. There we go. And now I'm going to put some texture in the tree. Just going to draw some lines. Carve some lines in it. I want to clean my tool, keep it fairly clean as well, because it'll put clay back down onto the tree if I don't do that. Now after I put the lines in the tree, I want to make sure my brush is fairly clean, and I want to smooth that out. Clean the brush, wet it a little bit, like get off the excess water. Got a problem with dog hair in here. And then I'll go back again with my tool cleaned off and just maybe make some deeper marks this time. That's adding a little bit of dimension to the tree bark. Clean your tool regularly. And then I'll brush it again. Wet the brush. Dry it with the rag. The rag, of course, is wet, so we just want it. We don't want it soaking wet, the brush. Now, the best way to prepare this for drying is, I'm going to show you, one second. Okay, so let it dry for about 2 or 3 hours so that the surface is no longer wet. And then using a plastic bag, cover the sculpture loosely. So you don't want to do it right now because it would mark up the tree. And then cover it loosely for a day, for 24 hours. And then uncover it and let it dry slowly by itself. And don't try to speed dry it. Don't try to set it in the oven or anything like that. Just let it dry, air dry slowly. Kind of in a center position in the room. Okay, so in other words, you don't want it up against the wall where you're drying it. And then when it's dry, it should come away from the board by itself. But if it doesn't, you can take a wire like this, okay? Put it between above the sculpture at the very top, against the board, and hold it to the board with your fingers, and draw the wire down to cut the sculpture away from the board. Just a piece of wire. And then at that point you should be able to go ahead and do a finish on it, or paint it, or whatever you want to do to make it look the way you want. And that is how you make a fairy door or a fairy house. And one last thing I do want to touch on again is, before you go to do the drying, take your board, the 2x4 that I showed you, or a piece of wood, or a block or something, and press it up against the bottom to make sure it's square, like that. And just do that just before you get ready to dry it. And you should be all set. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I do many videos along these lines. Please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. Leave me a comment or question in the comment section. And be creative, have fun, and have a great day.